Hello FlossTube, it is the 6th day of Christmas, and as you can see I am not sitting in my normal place on the sofa or my chair. I am at my desk. This is just my bureau that I have at home, not my desk in the office. Still off work. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about planning. So over the last 5 or 6 years I have had various different kinds of planner. I've tried different systems of planning, and I've eventually sort of landed on something that works really well for me. And I thought I would talk to you a little bit about that, and also about how that relates to my crafting. So this is the most recent thing I tried actually that was new. You can see this 2022 and 2023. And this is a really great alternative if you like the look of the Book of Days, but maybe you don't quite like the style or the design is not quite your thing, or also maybe the price is not quite your thing and you'd rather spend that money on actual supplies. This is from Amazon. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I don't think it was more than £5, and it might well have been less. And you get 2 years worth. You can see I used it a little bit in January 2022. You get a monthly spread, and you get a plain lined spread for each month. Now, I used that in January. I used it a little bit, it turns out, in February. I don't think, I pretended to use it in March, but didn't. And then I haven't touched it since, oh look, June. Okay, apparently I have tried to use it a little bit more than I realised, but there's a lot of blank pages in here. So I'm not going to continue with this. I found that actually having a separate planner for my stitching and my other craft things didn't really work for me, but I just wanted to mention it in case you were thinking about trying that. I think this is a really affordable way of doing it. You know, it's perfectly nice. It's not the needlework press stuff, but also, you know, the pages are nice, nicely laid out. You can easily put stickers in if you want, and I do think it's nice having that extra page. My plan was to use this for what I'm stitching on, and this just to keep track of purchases and plans and that kind of thing. So that's it. I'll try and see if I can find one for, I guess, 23 and 24 and put a link below. Now, this is my work planner. This is actually a new one, but I have been using this one for about a year now. It's slightly changed. Mine had a binding down the side here, my first one, and this got binding across the top, which I think is much better, to be honest. But the interior layout is pretty much the same. So I'm going to show you a double spread because that's easier. So I use this for work, and my work is very project based, which means it's not so much about filling in all the appointments and that'll tell me what I'm doing in the week. So what I tend to do is use this blank page and divide it up. It's dot grid. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's dot grid. So it's easy to divide up, and I'll divide it up into usually 7 or 8 sections for the different areas of work that I'm doing that week, and I'll make lists of what needs to be done in each of those areas. And I usually also have a section that is for next week or future plans, or both, so that I can just keep track of things like that there. And then what I do is I'll fill in any appointments that I do have in this section. I only work Monday to Thursday, so I generally don't fill anything in on the Friday. And then I work out from here when I am going to try and do the other things. And that really helps me because I can see when have I got a whole afternoon free, when have I got a whole day free, when have I only got half an hour or an hour, and I can allocate tasks to those slots that will be most helpful. If I've had a really busy day with traveling, I know not to allocate something really hard and difficult and requiring a lot of brain power first thing the next morning, and I'll, you know, give myself some fairly straightforward admin tasks to do. I tend not to use the habit tracker, and this is new actually in here, weekend plans. I'm not sure I'm going to put anything in there. I don't work at the weekends. That's the main plan that I have. Weekly priorities, I sometimes use that, but generally this project planning that I've done here has really helped me already work out my priorities. So just that sort of 2 spreads of a blank spread where I can work out what needs doing. Sometimes I'll use these slots here that I'm not really using for anything else if I need to just take notes of something. phone number, or if I'm in a meeting, a thing that I need to do. But those are it. And it's not dated at all. You can date it. There are months here where you can say what month you're in, and obviously you can fill in the dates for each day. I rarely bother, because I just do it week by week, and that is all you get all the way through to the end. I do sometimes take, you know, half a dozen pages at the end just to use as notes pages for bigger things. I don't work 52 weeks in a year, so one of these more than lasts me a year, and I really like it. This is from Scribbles That Matter. I should have said that. Scribbles That Matter, and it's their Productive Weeks planner. I guess you could use it for non-work things, but it is really set up to be a work planner. And if you're not a Monday to Friday worker, you might find that annoying. The habit tracker does include all 7 days. You could relabel those days if you worked on different days in a week. Anyway, so that's just briefly to mention what I do for work. And I do keep my work planning very separate from my life planning. This year, so for the last couple of years, I've used a thing called the Unbound Planner, which I've really liked. The first year I did it, I really, really liked it. And then last year, I think I just didn't have quite enough capacity to really make it work for me. And so then it became a bit frustrating. Anyway, this year I have splurged, and I've splurged on a Hobonichi Techo cousin. Hobonichi Techo Hobonichi is a Japanese company. They produce a number of different planners every year. Hobonichi Weeks is a much smaller one. Hobonichi, can't remember. There are others. Anyway, you can go and Google them yourself. Obviously, they do not come with this sticker. This is a sticker that I made for my book that came out a year or so ago, and I really like it. Anyway, so the Hobonichi Techo, this is what it includes. Oh, and the thing that's new this year is that there is an English language version rather than a Japanese version. So like it says last year and this year, and it's got the months and so on in English without any Japanese. So the first thing you get is a year at a glance calendar. So every day has a little slot, and it's 6 months and then the next 6 months. I've been using this for forward planning from my 2022 planner, just to make sure I've got an idea of when I'm already committed to doing things. It's got this little section at the bottom, and I'm using that for some monthly goals. So that's very functional. I have used this sort of spread in the past for period tracking. I will do if I need to, but I think the odds are good that I will not need to track any periods from now on. So that's excellent. But you can use it for that kind of tracking. I probably will go in. A thing I like to do here is highlight when I've got annual leave, and also possibly when I'm traveling. Sometimes I'm traveling for work. And it's just helpful to get an idea of when I'm away from home. So that's that. Then you've got, and this is the thing I'm not sure I love, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. All the monthly spreads are together after that. So you've had the yearly spread, then the monthly spreads. You can see there was one for December, which I haven't used. I've been in my old planner for that. January, I've begun to fill in from the yearly calendar to the monthly calendar. And that just helps me get an overview of this month. I will sometimes put notes on here of different things that I'm doing, regular things. So like I have a regular art class, and I will mark on here if that is cancelled any week for a particular reason. You've got space for some notes down there. Thing which people might not love, and it's always a tricky thing, with a month, you can end up having 6 weeks in a month. So here we start on the 1st, Sunday of January is the 1st, and we end, so then we have 4 whole weeks, and then we've got 2 days of January in the 6th week. The way they have worked that out in this planner is to give these only half height. And so all of these have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and these have got 4. Although this is weird, I hadn't noticed before. That's got 7, that's got 7, that's got 7, this has got 6, and then that one's got 4. I don't really understand why you would do that, to be honest. I don't understand why you wouldn't just give them all 6 in that case, because what have we got? 7, 14, 21, 27, 33, 37. Yeah, so you could have just given them all 6. Anyway, they haven't. So you might find that annoying. I might come to find that annoying. We'll see. Again, these tend to be very functional spreads for me rather than decorative. February, I've just put in this washi tape to indicate that I'm going to take annual leave that week. January and February are pretty busy work months for me. And so I was like, I need to make sure I book some annual leave because I'm going to be exhausted by then. This is washi tape from Ellie Beth Designs. I talked about my Ellie Beth Designs advent calendar on the first day of Christmas video. Ellie Beth Designs is now shut up shop, but a really, really kind viewer was like, actually, I have 6 months worth of her kits and stickers. Can I send them to you? So that's incredibly kind. Thank you so much. And we've been in touch and she's going to be posting them soon. I mean, I do have quite a lot because there's quite a lot in the advent box I just got. And I don't do huge amounts of stickers, you know, and particularly in a bound planner like this, just a book, you can't, if you sticker every page, it becomes, yeah, well, it becomes very unwieldy, but it also tests the integrity of the binding. So I won't do that. But it's nice to have some. So then you've got all the rest of the months, some of which have got more planning. That's when I'm going on holiday in June. You can see what's really important to me is the holiday time. So then after the months, oh, that's interesting. No, that's 2024. I'm like, why have we got another January? But that is 2024. We've got a January and a February and a March. So that's quite nice. Okay, then this is this week actually. And again, you see I haven't used it this week. I haven't really used my other planner this week because I'm on holiday. I'm not doing any planning. But anyway, so you get the whole thing. And so you could start from the 1st of January or the 26th of December. So then I'll show you my first week. So this is as far as I've got with next week's planning, which is not very far. So I will always at the beginning of each week go back and look at the monthly plan and fill in anything from there. Then I will include things, so you can see I'm planning to go to the gym next week. You can ask me how that goes. So things that I want to plan in, things that I need to remember. Our bin days are still different at the moment. So I need to remember to put the bin out on Thursday next week. In fact, I need to remember to put out the recycling today. Watford, we've got an in-person staff meeting, which will take my whole day there. Plan to go and work in my office on Tuesday. I might also go on Wednesday, we'll see. Haven't put that in yet. So, you know, this is really the sort of beginning. I like to have a thing here for what do I plan to do in the evenings when I've finished all my chores. So TV I want to watch, radio I want to listen to. I'll also be putting in there projects that I want to work on. Do I want to go out and be doing an hour or two on a sewing project? Do I want to be stitching on something? Menu planning I like to put down here, and then I will also quite often put my shopping list there. So that's my sort of basic layout. I do like to use colour in my planners, so I quite often will use, I've got a big set of all the Zebra mild liners and they work pretty well. You don't get bleed through on this paper, which is lovely. You can see, you can just about see, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can just about see the ghosting of where I put stickers, but you can't really see the writing at all. And you can just barely see some colour coming through there. So like, yeah, here, I've written this rubbish out on the actual paper. If I really, really look hard, I can see it. But no ghosting, no bleeding. I'm using in this also a Zebra pen, Zebra Sarasa. I've bought, somebody recommended these for using in the Hobonichi planner. And I bought a set of 5 in what they call vintage colours. So they're all these lovely sort of dark red. There's a blue, a green, a brown, maybe a purple as well, something like that. So they'll be nice to use in here. So this is all my sort of functional planning for each week. And all the weeks go through and you get, can you see that? I don't know why February Oh, there we go. These are all your weekly spreads. So in a sense, that section is just your planner. Yearly, monthly, weekly. This paper is beautiful. It's the Tomoe River paper. They are changing the paper they use in the Hobonichi planners, and with this I got a little sample of what it's going to be in the future. It's very smooth, it's very nice to write on. It does smudge quite easily, so if you're using fountain pen or something like that, it can be a bit tricky, but it's really nice. Then what you get, I'll come back to this page in a minute, is you get daily pages, 10th, 11th, all the way through, and these have got color-coded months on the side so you can find your daily page, and that is the bulk of the planner, is those daily pages. At the back of that there's some blank pages, and I've set up to use that in the way that I was using the craft planner. So project in progress, when I started it, when I finished it, any notes I want to make about it. So at the moment, the only project I know I will be bringing into 2023 is A Saviour's Praise, which I started a year ago. I've got 2 other works in progress, but I'm hoping, pretty sure at least one of those will be finished before the new year, the other one possibly as well. So we'll see, I'll update that if I need to. And then on the back of that, purchases. I find it really helpful to keep track of what I have bought. Not so much in terms of budgeting, but just so that I don't forget that I've got stuff that I already want to use and to make. That won't just be cross-stitch things. It will also be, for example, if I buy fabric for dressmaking. I'm very bad at buying lots and lots of fabric for dressmaking and then not making up what I've actually got. So keeping a track of that there. If I've got a plan for it when I buy it, I'll note that in there if I make a plan later, and then if I've used it up or I've finished it. And then there's a couple more pages, 4 more pages, so that list should be enough for the whole year, I hope. We'll see. Beginning of each month, you've got a blank page before the month starts, and I have done some work on this. This is where I've done my goal setting for January, and this is sort of goals for the whole year, actually. I think in future, I might well use this as my budgeting page. I didn't really do monthly budgeting last year, but I do want to get back into it. And yeah, it's helpful if that's in the same planner for me, and I can work out my budget, probably on the daily pages, keep a note of any transactions, and then tot it up at the end of each month. So these daily pages, I'm not a great journaler, but yeah, that's not a good sentence. I'm not a great journaler, but I have different ideas of things that I might want to do in these during the year. I do want to get better about spiritual journaling, Christian journaling, writing about how each day has gone, things I particularly wanted to pray for, things that I need to talk to the Lord about, things that have particularly struck me that I want to remember. So I do want there to be some of that in there. I think it could also be nice to do some journaling around finishes or, you know, designs that I've released, or I'm not going to make a note every day of what I've stitched on because I'm not that interested in that. It turns out that was one of the reasons why the monthly planner wasn't really great for me, because I just was like, well, I've worked on the same project for the last 3 weeks. I like to finish a project. I don't like to have lots of works in progress. So it was just quite tedious. But it, you know, particular things that I've finished or that I'm pleased about, or notes that I want to make that I think, oh, next time do that differently or whatever. Or, oh, that's a really nice pattern. I'm not going to buy it now, but I'll just keep a note in case I decide I want to buy it later. Those sorts of things. So I think these will be quite fun pages. I might make notes of, you know, I just finished reading this book and it was really great. I should recommend it to people. Yeah, I have got, although again, I'm a bit nervous about the loading this up with too many additions. I have got one of those little instant cameras. So I could take photos of stuff and put them in, and I might do that just when I have a finish or something like that, possibly. Certainly not every day, but occasionally. Goal setting, the Unbound planner I find really helpful for goal setting. So all I did was go through the first few pages of that and sort of write up my results in here. So I've got different areas where I've got goals, specific goals within that. Some of these are things that I want to repeat. So for example, I want to read a non-fiction book every month. So then back here, where I've got this slot at the bottom of the annual calendar, one of these things says book. And then I can just write in every month the book that I plan to read and if I've read it. I've got budget to remind me to make a budget every month. I like to track when have I got really heavy people time and when have I got no people time, just to make sure I've got a nice balance of those things. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think I like just having everything in one place. The work planner basically stays, well, it stays in my laptop bag. So it's either with me in my office or when I'm working from home, it's here. But this is the one that will go around with me in my handbag. The Hobonichi, I mean, they are quite expensive, particularly when you're importing them from Japan. What you get, let me just take this out, is this. Oh, that's no good. Let me get my bookmarks out before I rip the whole thing apart before I've even started the year. So if you just order the Hobonichi, you get this, which is, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's sort of cardboard cover. It's got a nice binding, but you can see mine, I don't know if you can see, but I can see that it's already got a sort of bend mark in it. That I think is not going to last a year in my handbag. So you have to buy really some kind of cover for it. They come in all kinds of colours and I think you can get like really posh leather ones. Mine is not really posh leather, but it's waterproof and it's pink on the inside and it's fine. You can also get covers for your cover. Now, I just think this is getting a little bit ridiculous, but they are quite fun. So I might treat myself at some point. The covers that go on your cover are a sort of clear plastic with a design printed on. So, you know, I could have one with like pink flamingos or something, but they add to the bulk and the weight, and I'm not sure I really need them. The sort of cover on the outside comes with a pen loop, and the pen loop works also as the closer for your planner. So you join your pen in the front and the back, and that holds your planner together. I think that will be pretty sturdy in my handbag to be carried around the whole time. So that is my planner. That is how I am planning to keep track of my crafts and my stitching this year. So this is projects in progress, and then I will probably also do it at the beginning of every month in the goal. So I've got some things here, my stitching goals. These actually are just for January. So Stitch Your Stash 2023 and the Wildcard BD Sal, I'll put those on the screen. I think I've made a decision about the pattern I'm going to use for those. I've got a couple of things, the Carmen sampler, the Spinsterhood sampler, that I want to make the pattern up and get those uploaded. The pattern I want to design this month is the next in my medieval series, and then things that I might stitch on this month as well. Some of those might be finished by January, yeah, and others will come later in the month. Things that I might sew this month, health things for this month. In fact, these are all goals for this month, because I forgot to show you, this is the page that sort of comes before the daily spreads, where I did some of the bigger picture planning, things I want more of in the year, things I want less of in the year, divided those up into sort of main areas, and set some measurable goals within those. Some of those will need to go into each month and each week to remind me to do them. So that's my planning. I'd love to know if you are a planner, if you're a stickerator planner, if you have a particular kind of planner that you are very loyal to and love and always works for you. Are you an Erin Condrener or a Happy Planner? Are you a whatever's cheap in the newsagent planner? Do you not really do planning? Do you just, you know, keep a diary for appointments and that's it? I would love to know, particularly how you like to plan around your stitching and your crafting. Today's 12 Days of Generosity suggestion is to do with planning. And it is, as we all think about at this time of year, plans for the next year, just to plan in some act of generosity. Because I think with all of these things, we can have really good intentions, but unless you actually make plans, you're much less likely to do them. So just, you know, as you think about whether it's resolutions or goals or plans for the next year, think about how could you plan to do something for other people? Could you plan more regular giving if there's a charity that you love to support? Set up a standing order. Could you plan to give more of your time to other people? Maybe you're in a position where you could think about doing voluntary work, but maybe it's, you know, something much smaller than that. Maybe it's just noticing, I don't know, one of your neighbours is struggling a little bit to get their bins out. Just go and ask, you know, would it be helpful if I just did that at the same time as I do my bins every week? You know, it doesn't take huge amounts of your time, but it's just a generous act thinking about somebody else. You could plan something big. I mean, it's probably too late to plan to run the London Marathon like Yasmin, but you could plan some other kind of big event that you want to do, or thing that you want to get involved with, or you could just plan something really small. You could plan to give your elderly relative a ring once or twice a month. You could plan to make sure you go and see that person you know who's really struggling. You could plan to offer to take their children for a couple of hours every so often. I don't know. I don't know what your life is. I don't know who you've got in it. I don't know what resources you have. But I do know that if you don't plan or think about or set goals for doing things, they are much less likely to happen. So include thinking about other people as you plan for 2023. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, do like and subscribe and all of those things.